We are in quite the confusing time, and I think everybody can feel it. There's a lot of reasons for it. I've talked a lot about technology and social media on this account, and I would say that's a huge reason why. AI is a huge reason why. Nobody knows what's going on with AI. The speed that it is improving is pretty intimidating, and it's said that most jobs are going to be taken by AI. In fact, Oracle, Larry Ellison's company, Oracle, let go of, I don't even remember how many people it was. I feel like it was like 20,000 people. And they're a tech company, so go figure the tech company fires a bunch of people because AI is just making moves and able to replace people. So of course they're going to replace people. And on top of that, just the job market in general feels like a joke. We're told to go online for everything. Having an in-person interview feels impossible at this time. And the things that are being pushed in the media, like, politics runs the media. And I'm not saying it ever didn't, but everything has a political agenda tied to it, and everything is money. Everything is following the money, and that's where everyone's going to go. All the big named people are most concerned with how they can keep the most amount of money in their pockets, and if that involves confusing people and keeping people in the dark about most real things in life, they will absolutely do that. They will gladly do it. And also just the fact that the internet has broadened our horizons for content and who we can take advice from, all the different apps that you can download, all the different channels and different hot political takes that you can hold. There's so many different ways to go. It can be really overwhelming. And I think a huge reason that we are lost in today's society is because we have lost our roots. There is no sense of tradition. And this seems very intentional. Because the more confused and blind a society is, the easier that they are to control, the easier that they are to convince, the easier that they are to get people to go in a certain direction if it makes them feel comfortable and like they have clarity. And the reason that I think this is very deliberate is because the way that we use technology and the way that all these gadgets quickly moved into every single household, at least in America, but I know in a lot of other countries as well. And the way that we use them is it's like cigarettes. It's like destructive over-usage. It alienates people. We're starting to understand each other through screens. We're starting to understand people through text rather than facial expressions and tone. And we have internet access everywhere. If you go anywhere, almost anywhere, you have, 5G, 4G. You can look up whatever you want, whenever you want. You can get out of any social awkward situation or uncomfortable situation in public by pulling out your handy-dandy screen with endless swiping opportunities, or you can text whoever you want, or you can call whoever you want. There's a lot of escapism going on, including in households. I don't know about you guys, but a lot of my family, particularly my family, my friends have done this as well, but my family, a lot of them, especially the older generation, which is crazy because they were the ones warning us about these phones, I find that they will go to bed, not sleep, but just lie in bed and scroll on their phone when it's broad daylight outside. And, I've called my grandparents or I've called whoever, and we'll FaceTime each other, and they're just in bed, and the sun is shining. And I'm not sitting here acting like I've never done that, or that I don't do that, because I definitely do. These phones are, they'll grab you. But it's just strange. It's the humanity of it is being filtered out, it feels like. And I'll give you the strangest example I've ever had. And this has happened a few times. But we will, as a family, not like a huge family gathering, but like as immediate family, We will order food together, or we will make food together. And then, when you were kids, when the food was ready, that was socializing time, right? You would sit at the dinner table, and you would converse with one another as you ate. That is all gone, at least for me. We get our food, and everybody goes into their separate corner of the house. Whether that's their room, whether that's the living room, wherever. We all go into our own little hidey holes of our own chosen entertainment for our meal and disconnect. And witnessing it in real time, because I was fully prepared for us all to just sit at the dinner table, because, I mean, why wouldn't you? Isn't that what the dinner table's for? And then I just watched them, like, mindlessly walk to the TV or to their bedroom and get on their phone. And it was like, it's so automatic, it's scary. It's like I'm watching a family of robots. And then I'm just like, and I've tried to point this out before, but it feels like I'm alerting the herd when I point it out. I get a lot of pushback from people when I point this out. And I've had this conversation with my mom, or I've tried to, where I'll walk into her room and I'm like, don't you think this is strange? And she's like, what? Like, she's like pulling the weird card on me. She's like, what's strange? Why are you coming here and you're talking about things that are strange? And I'm like, it's broad daylight outside and you're curled up in a ball in your bed swiping endlessly on your phone. And she's like, okay. And I'm like, don't you think that's strange? She's like, not really. And I'm like, yeah, well, you're right, because everybody does it. It's like, my grandparents do it. And if they're not curled up in a ball, they're just in their own little corner of the house, watching something on their phone, just unplugging from reality. And it feels like alienation. It feels like we're making something normal that has never been normal in human history. We have always had this social mechanism in all of us. And I guess we were more prone to boredom in the past, or I guess we're more prone to boredom now, and that's why we're on these phones so nonstop. But there was an incentive to talk to people in the past because you couldn't just escape from a gadget or a screen or whatever. And even 30, 40 years ago, you couldn't really, because you either had to put a VHS in to watch what you wanted to, or you were at the whim of whatever was on the TV. And if you didn't want to watch what was on the TV, either too bad, change the channel. And if you still don't find something, well, then now you have a good enough reason to talk to somebody. Because you don't want to pull out the VHS, or you've watched all your VHSs, or nothing's on the TV that you want to watch. So you might as well talk to somebody. It would be nice to talk to somebody because it's been a while, or whatever. We have too much at our fingertips now. You don't like TikTok? Hop on Instagram. You don't like Instagram? Hop on YouTube. You don't like YouTube? Hop on Facebook. You don't like this reel? Go to the next one. You don't like that reel? Go to the next one. You can look up whatever you want. You can watch whatever you want. You can watch whatever content creator you want. And that's fantastic. I love that in all of human history, I can look up whatever I want. I can learn whatever I want. I can get into whatever hobby or interest that I want, and it's fully available to me. People would pay, you couldn't even pay for it back 100, 200 years ago, and people would have, because that would have been tremendously valuable. And it is tremendously valuable. But if it's so tremendously valuable that people use it to disconnect from reality and to avoid one another and to start plugging into this other artificial place and find their comfort in it, now we are progressing into scary territory for several reasons, really. One of the main reasons is, like I've said, it takes you away from your fellow man. Yeah, you have less of a reason to talk to people in your immediate surroundings. And I'm not saying that I never talk to my family, because I certainly do, but a majority of the time, everybody is just separated on these screens. And another reason, which is why I think it's deliberate, is because when you're on these screens, you are at the whim of what these apps decide that they want to feed you. And they can feed you whatever ads they want. They can put whatever they want in your algorithm. It doesn't mean that you'll click on it, but at least they can propose it to you. And if we are alienated from one another, and if we are away from one another, it makes it easier for us to not like each other, because if we don't even need to talk to one another, then why do we even need you? It makes us easier to sell to, because we're already on the gadgets to begin with. The value is self-evident in how much we use them. We can't tell what's real anymore with the new AI videos and how amazing those look. Scarily amazing. We are more susceptible to propaganda simply because we are on these devices more and more. And there's just a lot of harmful things that it does. And this feeds into the feeling of being lost in today's world. Because we are, the past lives in us. And how society has functioned for thousands and thousands, even millions of years, is in our bloodstream. So it's very normal for us to feel like something is just not quite right. Because nothing is like humanity has ever seen. I mean, I'm speaking into a mic right now, and I'm getting ready to upload this video over a video game to other people online from all over the world, and any of them can watch it. And just 100 years ago, that would be impossible. Just 50 years ago, that would be impossible. 20 years ago, some of it could have been impossible. We are at a crazy state. And my nephew, he is on an iPad 24/7. And I've seen all kinds of kids that are just on gadgets all the time. I used to work as a server, and I seen way more than one time, probably a dozen times, a kid who was on an iPad from the time he got there. They tried to take his iPad from him whenever the food got there for him to, pay attention to eating, because that's something that's really important to pay attention to. And then he will just wail and cry until he gets his iPad back. And, the parents will cave, okay, here's your iPad. And they'll give him the iPad back while he eats. Now, imagine what that's going to be like in 20 to 30 years. Guys, we grew up with this picking up speed and phones slowly forming together and social media slowly growing more in public consciousness. It was not something that we were born into, and it was fed to us from the ground up of development. Now, in 20 to 30 years, when a majority of these kids were exactly that child that got his food, and they just are given their iPad every time they cry, how do you think that programs them? How do you think that sets them up to function in society? How do you think that sets them up to pay attention in school? How do you think that sets them up for anything when it comes to being a human being? Do you think that when they grow up, they're going to understand their emotions? How on earth can you understand your emotions at all if you grew up on a screen? As far as you know, you are in that screen. Your life is artificial. And with AI being just developed at an alarming rate, I can only imagine how AI is going to get its hands on our youth as well. No one's going to know how to function. No one's going to know how to be a human being. We're all going to feel depressed, and it's going to be like, and I know a lot of people say this, but Brave New World. Brave New World, where, the pill of Soma, where you take it and it makes you, numb essentially, or it makes you like false joy. It takes away all your bad feelings and gives you a false artificial feeling of joy and contentment. And that's what we're headed towards. And there's going to be this empty, hollow feeling that follows all of us. And I know a lot of you guys already feel it. But at least we can see where this has always been headed, for the most part. We can see that, there are still some people conversing with one another, and there are still some people taking walks without headphones and not pulling out their phone every single time they're in an awkward situation. We're still seeing, fragments of humanity, but it's on its way out. And I'm seeing that a lot with how our kids are given these devices nonstop. And honestly, it's scary. It's intimidating. And the way that I've combated this is I deleted a majority of my social medias, and I started taking walks, and I'll just not even take my phone. Or I'll literally set aside an hour a day to not be on any screen at all. No TV, no phone, no tablet. Can't listen to music, no headphones. Just avoid technology altogether for an hour a day. And honestly, it probably would be wise of me to make that time even longer. And I'll read my Bible instead. And that helps me connect my roots with a lot of tradition. There's a lot of Old English in the Bible, and there's a lot of universal themes in the Bible. And it reminds me that humanity has been around longer than 20 years. We've been around longer than since we invented the internet. But the internet's been here for so long now that we're starting to forget that. Even the people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s are starting to use smartphones. They use Facebook more than I've ever used Facebook. So elderly people are using it, children are using it, everyone in between is using it, and it influences every single part of society. It influences getting a job. It influences every form of media. It influences learning. It influences socializing. It influences every part of being a human being, like it's trying to take over, replace the old with the new. And since it offers us cheap and fast entertainment and public opinion and emotional stimulation, we return to it. It's like this infinitely valuable gadget in our pocket that the only way that it will really not be available is if it dies, and even that is easy to get around. Charging it doesn't take very much at all. And these are just some of the major reasons that a lot of society is fragmented and separated and confused, and they just feel like something isn't right. Getting a job should not be this ridiculous. Socializing should not be so flat and through text messaging. Finding answers to all your questions should not be just through AI. AI is a big one too. And I'll probably make a longer video on this eventually, but AI is endlessly valuable as well. A lot of people are using AI to make a friend. And I'm guilty of that. I've done that as well. Sam Altman, the founder of OpenAI and ChatGPT, I think he changed the setting of ChatGPT and it made it more helpful and less human-like. And apparently he got a bunch of emails from people that said they didn't like that because they wanted a sense of friendship from the AI. And that's fine. Like I said, I'm guilty of this as well. I made a friend out of AI because it hears you out in a way that a lot of people don't, especially today. But making friends with AI and also going to AI for every single problem that you have can be great on one end. If you use it as a aspect of it, you can be friendly with AI. You can use it as a learning opportunity. That's fantastic. But if you use it as a replacement for humanity, because we're all detached from each other anyway, and the most that you can get on an emotional bonding level is with an artificial intelligence, that tells you a lot about the state of the world. That tells you a lot about the state of the relationships that we share with one another. And if you're going to AI for every question you have, honestly, on one end, that is fantastic. I go to AI, and I frame the question in a way that I learn. And I'll give you an example. I use Logic Pro, which is a place to make music on my Mac. And I'll ask it questions like, how do I get rid of background noise on Logic Pro? And it'll tell me an effect that I can use to make my voice stand out by itself. It's like, okay, so if I'm ever making music and there's background noise, I can use this effect to get rid of the background music. Fantastic, I learned. But once again, like with making a friend with AI, if you do it as a crutch, if you don't use it to learn, if you just ask it the question and it gives you the answer and you're like, all right, dope, and then you just do the thing that it said, and you don't actually think about what it's telling you, and you don't consider how you can use this in other areas of your life, once again, you're using it as a crutch. And you're not learning anything, and you're not forming a sense of friendship as much as you're relying on it entirely. And that can stunt your growth. On top of all the other things that technology is stunting right now, and how we're using technology for so many things that are destroying our growth as a society and keeping us away from one another and confusing us, and we don't know exactly where to turn. No wonder we're going to AI. Maybe they plug AI with a certain agenda. I'm not sure. Maybe they convince AI to tell people things that aren't entirely true, or maybe they put an emotional bias on it to get you to think in a certain way, to get you to buy a certain product, or there's so many ways that they could weaponize all of this stuff, and they already have. So that's today's word. I want you to really think about where we are in the world today, how we treat each other, how our relationships are developing, how we're raising our youth, where our attention span is going, where we go to find reliable information. Just everything in this world has broadened, and our options have multiplied 100-fold. And in a lot of ways, that's fantastic. But in a lot of other ways, it feels like a maze. It feels like we're lost and confused. And like I said, the history lives inside of us. We are the first generation, or the first few generations of humanity that have ever felt this exact artificial, confused, technological state. So, thanks for watching.